Hey, this is Steve. Just bought a Sportster, and it's a 2018 883N. There's probably a lot of questions to why I bought something like that, but I wanted to give Harley a try. And the first thing I need to do is put some passenger pegs, because I like to have a passenger with me. And so when I went to the dealership, the first dealership, they started bringing up a total of like $300 for passenger pegs, which is kind of confusing. So I ordered some drag specialty passenger peg kit from Revzilla. Said it's a perfect match for the bike. And I read all about how the exhaust system may have to come off and so on and so forth. I started to find there's a lot of garbage or misinformation about putting accessories on the Sporty. So I thought it would be a good idea to share what I found and let you know some of the workarounds. Firstly, I wanted to avoid removing the exhaust, because then you have to replace the exhaust gaskets, and the exhaust on the Sportster is a disaster. There's so many different connections and fasteners and so on. I just wanted to avoid that. But I wanted to show you the problem that I ran into. Is that when I went to attach the master cylinder to the passenger peg bracket, I already installed it, you see that it doesn't fit properly. You can see there's a gap here and a gap there. There were no included spacers or anything like that with the kit, and so clearly it's not appropriate to tighten that down. Probably damage the housing for the master cylinder. So I'll show you what I did to avoid removing my exhaust, and I'll also show you the Harley Davidson kit that I ended up picking up in Pennsylvania at a Harley dealership. It was only about $115, so I don't know why there was a big discrepancy between the dealers. And then I also found out through great Facebook marketing that Harley sells it online too, so you can just order it online and have it shipped to your house. So I'm going to get some tools together. To avoid removing the exhaust, I'm just going to use a T40 Torx bit, and I'm going to turn it with an annoying little adjustable screwdriver, and kind of show you how I do that. So I'm just going to line it up. I won't bore you with the actual process, but I'm going to put the Torx bit in here. Let me show you that. Like that. And it, you can't access it with a standard tool. And then I'm going to use this little adjustable wrench to get in there and loosen that. And I'll use the same technique for this one over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Trust me, it's going to be a lot of swearing and the adjustable wrench, moving around and coming out of adjustment. So I'll get started, and then I'll come back when I'm finished removing those. So we'll show you this, that once I got it loose, there's no more clearance to use the Torx bit, so you just have to twist it by hand. You can see the one in the back came off very easily, but I loosen this with the Torx bit and the adjustable wrench, and it's going to come off the rest of the way by hand. Okay. So I've removed the pin, circlip from that pin. I'm just going to unscrew this to disconnect the linkage from the master cylinder. Of course, I've loosened it and I also marred it up a little bit, so kind of already ruining my finishes on my new bike. It's kind of a little more work than I thought it would be to put passenger pegs on, and then to learn after the fact that they don't fit was a little bit frustrating. So you can see I've got the master cylinder separated, and now I'm going to have to just maneuver around to get the, you can see I just push it down like that and I can access those bolts. So I'm going to remove those, and then I'll come back. So we're going to get to those next. Moved the Drag Specialties passenger peg plate. I struggled a little bit because I used red Loctite. I think this time I'm going to use blue Loctite. And for those of you who are eagle-eyed, you probably also notice I had some metric tools out, but 8mm ball end, or this is the only ball end I had. It was 8mm, and it fits that cap screw just fine. I'm going to show you the problem. So even though Drag Specialties claims this works and it says it's a perfect fit on Revzilla, the problem is the standoffs. So this is where the master cylinder attaches, and you saw the gaps earlier. And if you look on the Harley Davidson part, the standoffs are much bigger, and I can try to line those up for you to see. But it's substantial, and that's why the Harley Davidson part works. It costs less. I don't see any reason to ever bother going with the aftermarket for this particular accessory. So it takes 3 fasteners. I'm using the Permatex blue thread locker, and then I've got my torque wrench set. Harley Davidson recommends 45 to 50 foot-pounds, and so got it set to that now, and we will get started. Actually, that's set to Newton meters, so I'll have to check that out, do the conversion, and make sure it's correct. Oh, foot-pounds, here we go. Oh, way off. So I had it to Newton meters. I'm going to switch it around and set it correctly, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I just want to point out that the fasteners from Harley Davidson are very similar to the ones from Drag Specialties, and they're very scary to put in, because when you're first engaging the thread, because it's got that sort of self-cutting thread, it feels like it's just destroying the threads, but then after you get over that initial little bit of friction, it just glides right in. So right now I'm just putting it in hand tight, snug, and then I'll torque them down later. I just wanted to point that out because you sort of have to take a leap of faith that your screws are straight and that you're not totally destroying the receiving threads while you're doing this. It's just the initial, like, first full turn is kind of sketchy. Now I'm gonna torque these down to 45 foot-pounds. That's a lot of torque. This lower one I can't really reach, so slide down. So I had to guess. on that one. I've got this one torqued already. I just wanted to show you that I torqued that one too. And now I just can't wait to get out of the rain. I'm going to skip putting the foot pegs on in this video. I just wanted to show you that it is possible to take this or install the Harley Davidson passenger peg adapter without removing your exhaust. That's the cleanest method. I'll put it all back together. Again, there's going to be a lot of swearing and so on when I go to put that circlip back in on the linkage pin. So I'm going to go ahead and work through that. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helps you guys out. So this is the sort of silly way I'm getting this in without having to remove the exhaust. You can see it's a bit of a pain. Got to get that in there. So. And then just more of that nonsense. I also want to point out I get to do it all over again with the master cylinder because I didn't connect the linkage before bolting it on, and of course the linkage won't fit on to the shaft or onto the master cylinder while it's bolted to the passenger peg mount. So I get to do it all over again, and I just wanted to show you that make sure you attach this before you attach that. It'll save you about 10 minutes. All right, back at it. tight for now. Wind. And then we'll put the pin through in a minute. Okay. All right, get back to putting the screws in. Put a circlip on that foot peg. You cannot use straight circlip pliers. You're gonna have to use angled ones like this. So don't waste any time with a cheap set. Get channel locks. They're also very, very thin at the end, so the cheapos don't accommodate for that. So make sure you get the channel locks. If you're going to put foot pegs on and off your bike, you can't get a straight set up to that circlip that we're going to install. So just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to go ahead and put the right points on my circlip pliers and install the retaining clip. Almost in. There we go. Perfect. To get this done, you're going to need just some basic tools. Most importantly, you need circlip pliers with fine points that are at 90-degree angle. Unless, of course, you install the foot pegs ahead of time, but I thought they'd be in the way. In order to get the master cylinder on and off without removing the exhaust, you need a T40. And I used a little adjustable wrench to turn it. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass. You only get about a 1/16 of a turn at a time. That comes in handy. And then a bunch of 5/16 hex keys. So I've got a ball end here. I had to substitute 8mm. It's not a perfect fit. It's a little oversized, but it worked. And then you want one that's outside of a socket. So this short stubby piece, that comes in handy to get around the master cylinder. Of course, a socket, be a socket with the universal joint. You need a flat blade screwdriver to take the circlip off of the linkage retaining pin and also to put it back on. And it's a huge pain in the ass when that clip drops down into the exhaust bracket. So you probably also want to have like a dental pick or Allen wrench to pick it out when you do drop it down in there, because it's a huge pain. Of course, you want your torque wrench, so you set everything to 45 to 50 foot-pounds of torque, and socket wrench with an extension. So I think with this, you can put the passenger pegs on to the bike without removing the exhaust. So that's it.